Hello again and welcome back to our course on Excel 2019 Advanced. We've been looking at functions for the last couple of sections, and in this section I'd like to look at the AutoSum functions, which you've probably used before but you might not be aware of some of the aspects of their use. Let me show you what I mean. Let's suppose I wanted to add the numbers in column B. Now you might be tempted to select the numbers in column B and then insert the AutoSum function as part of the formula in B6, but in fact you don't need to select the numbers first. If you just click below the column and then go up to the ribbon, either the Home tab or the Formulas tab, I'm going to select Home, and the AutoSum feature is available on both. So if I click AutoSum, you can see that Excel 2019 picks up the numbers listed above, and if I just click the tick to confirm, and I get my total. Now, if instead of doing that, I selected those first 4 cells, and it's worth noting that I haven't selected B6 in this case, and then click on the AutoSum button, it gives me the same result. It's also worth noting that if I select cell B2 all the way down to B6 and click on the AutoSum button, I get the same result once again. Now let me undo that, so I'm going to click the undo button on my quick access toolbar. Now this time what I'm going to do is select the cells from B6 to C6 and click AutoSum. In this case it can sum both of those columns. It puts the formula in B6 for column B and in C6 for column C. Now this doesn't just work for columns. If I wanted to deal with rows, let's click in G2 and AutoSum. I get the sum from B2 to F2, so it works on rows as well. Now let's delete the contents of cell F5 and let's look at what would happen if I click the AutoSum button. The answer it gives is the sum from F2 to F4. When AutoSum has the option of dealing with columns or rows, it always gives precedence to the columns. So you might be interested to see what happens if I select cells B2 to B5 and click on AutoSum. Notice the column totals I get. And of course another way to sum totals that I don't want you to forget about is if we make a selection, so C2 to C5, and use the quick analysis pop-up, we have a totals tab where we can access the sum function as well. So when I click that, you'll see it also puts in my total in cell C6. And what if I select cells B2 to G6 and click AutoSum? I get all of the totals, and the 150 in the bottom right hand corner is of course the sum from B6 to F6. Another important point here is that Excel 2019 is pretty good at identifying entities that aren't part of what you're trying to do. So for instance, if in B1 I had a header, so let's pretend that these are figures for different months of the year, and I'm just going to autofill that across. Now if I wanted to sum B2 to B5 by clicking AutoSum, that's no problem. Excel realizes that B1 is not part of this and will discard it. In fact, if I select B1 to B5 and click AutoSum, Excel 2019 can cope with that as well. The other point I'd like to make here is that so far I've been dealing with sum functions only, but of course the same is applicable if we're doing a count or a min or a max or using one of the other functions. So I'm going to click my AutoSum drop down and I'm going to do a count. Excel 2019 makes my selection and I hit enter, and you can see my count is now 4. Let's just try a max as well. And press enter, and there we have our max. Another point to remember here is that in a specific situation, or in fact, if in general you find yourself using a specific function often, so let's say, for example, in this case, max, as it's the one we've just used, you also have the option of adding that to the quick access toolbar, which will make it really, really easy for you to access quickly. And there's a really quick way of doing that. Again, if we go up to the AutoSum drop down, go down to max, right-click and select Add to Quick Access Toolbar. And you can see there by looking at the Quick Access Toolbar, we have this little symbol on the end, and if I hover over, it does a max. So let's just check to make sure that works. And click the icon. There we go, looks great. I'm going to hit Enter. And there we have our max for column D. So that's a few general points about the AutoSum family of functions. Now, in the balance of this course, we'll be doing a lot of work with functions and we'll be using quite a few of these general points as well. That's the end of this section. I'll see you in the next one.